Ladies and gentlemen, you've been waiting, haven't you? Waiting for the perfect time, the right sign, the big moment when everything lines up and finally makes sense. But I got news for you. That moment, it's not coming because it's already here. The moment you decide to change your life is the moment your life changes. Simple as that. See, the truth is you're not stuck. You're just scared of failing, scared of being seen starting over, scared that you're not enough. But let me tell you something. Every great person you admire started from fear, started from doubt, started from nothing but a decision. You've been lying to yourself, telling yourself you'll do it tomorrow, that you need more time, more confidence, more motivation. Nah, what you need is courage. What you need is to stop waiting for permission and give yourself a reason. Because guess what? There's nobody coming to rescue you. No magical moment, no dream handed to you on a silver platter. You want change? Then be the change. The man or woman you want to become is trapped behind the habits you refuse to break, the dreams you keep postponing, the fear you keep feeding. You want to change your life? Then get uncomfortable. Get up earlier. Speak the truth. Let go of people who don't clap when you win. Put your phone down. Shut the noise out. Lock in. Do the work. People ask, how do I change? The answer is, you do it anyway, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. You keep showing up every single day and you keep moving forward because the world doesn't need a perfect version of you. It needs the real you, the you that's been hiding, waiting, watching from the sidelines. But today is different. Today you rise, not because the road is easy, but because you're done playing small. You're done blaming the world. You're done with excuses. You're ready. And you don't need approval. You don't need a sign. You just need one thing, a decision. So make it now, because it's time. It's time to change your life. It's a powerful truth that hits like a whisper in a quiet room, the kind of sentence that doesn't need to shout to be heard. Deep down, you know it. You feel it every time you say, I can't, when the real answer is, I won't. Not because you don't want to move, not because you don't see the other side of your situation, but because something inside you hesitates. And that hesitation isn't about ability, it's fear. See, we call it being stuck because it sounds acceptable. It feels passive, like something is happening to us. It's a word that lets us off the hook. Saying you're stuck feels easier than admitting you're scared. But let's be honest, you're not buried under concrete. You're not chained to your past. You're not locked in a cage without a key. What you are, Crudifit, is afraid. Afraid of change, afraid of risk, afraid of what happens when you try and fall short. You've convinced yourself that your current situation is safer, more manageable, even if it's painful, because at least it's predictable. We cling to the familiar even when it hurts us because the unknown is terrifying. It's easier to complain about a job you hate than to start over. It's easier to stay in a relationship that's draining you than to face the loneliness that might come with leaving. It's easier to scroll through other people's lives than to look at your own and ask, what am I really doing here? We build routines around fear and call it being stuck. Fear wears a lot of disguises. Sometimes it looks like procrastination. You keep delaying what you know needs to happen. You tell yourself you'll do it when the time is right, when you have more money, more confidence, more clarity. But the truth is, you're not waiting on time. You're hiding in it. You've convinced yourself that hesitation is wisdom, that caution is maturity, when really it's just fear dressed up in nicer words. Sometimes fear sounds like self-doubt. You start wondering if you're even good enough to change. You ask, who am I to want more? And instead of answering with action, you shrink. You tell yourself that people like you don't get to live that kind of life. You look at others who've done it and say, they're different. They're special. They got lucky. But that's a lie. They were just willing to move through the fear you keep avoiding. Fear doesn't want you to fail. It wants to keep you from. It whispers all the worst case scenarios into your mind and turns them into movies. You replay every time you think about taking a step forward. You start imagining judgment, embarrassment, loss. You create stories about how everything could go wrong. But you forget to tell yourself what could go right. You forget that fear is a storyteller, and not always a truthful one. It writes scenes of disaster and sells them to your nervous system like facts. But fear isn't the enemy. It's a signal. It means you care. It means there's something out there you believe is worth risking for. The problem is you've mistaken fear as a wall instead of a signpost. You think the presence of fear means you should stop, when in reality, it often means you're heading exactly where you need to go. Growth lives just past the edge of comfort. But if you treat fear as a stop sign instead of a compass, you'll never get there. You're not stuck because the world is unfair. You're not stuck because you lack resources. You're not stuck because of your past. Those things may shape your story, but they don't define your direction. The truth is, many people have risen from worse. Many people have come from nothing, made mistakes, lost everything, and still changed. And they didn't do it because they were fearless. They did it because they were tired of letting fear make their choices. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need a 5-year roadmap or a guarantee. What you need is honesty, brutal honesty with yourself. You need to look in the mirror and ask, what am I really afraid of? And more importantly, am I willing to let that fear keep running my life? Because if you're not stuck, if fear is the real villain, then that means you have a choice. That means you're free. And freedom is terrifying because it means responsibility. It means you can't blame your past forever. You can't blame your parents. You can't blame your boss. You can't even blame time. Freedom means you're holding the pen now. You decide how the next chapter goes, but you gotta be brave enough to write it. People think bravery looks like big, bold actions, quitting your job, starting a business, moving across the world. But real bravery starts small. Real bravery is getting up when you don't feel like it. It's having the uncomfortable conversation. It's saying no to what drains you and yes to what grows you, even when that choice scares the hell out of you. It's showing up again and again, even when nothing changes right away. That's how change starts. Not with a bang, but with a decision. So if you're feeling stuck, take a closer look. What are you afraid of losing? What are you afraid will happen if you actually go for it? Is that fear bigger than the regret you'll feel if you never try? Because that's the part no one talks about. The pain of not changing eventually outweighs the fear of doing it. One day you wake up and realize you're out of time, that all the waiting didn't protect you. It just passed you by. But not today. Today, if you choose to look fear in the eye and say, I see you, but I'm moving anyway, then you've already started to change. Not everything has to be perfect. You just have to move inch by inch, step by step, through the fear, not around it, not over it, through it, because you're not stuck. You're just afraid, and that's okay. Just don't let fear sit in the driver's seat any longer. Don't settle for all the reasons you've been telling yourself about why you can't do it, why you haven't started, why you keep quitting. They're not true. They're fear wearing a clever disguise, and it's been whispering to you for so long, you started to believe it. But let's be real. Excuses feel safe because they protect you from facing the uncomfortable truth. You could be doing more, becoming more, but you're scared. And instead of admitting that, you mask it in logic. You dress fear up in reason and call it reality. You say, you don't have time. That's the classic one, right? I'm just too busy. But time isn't the problem. You scroll for hours. You binge watch entire seasons. You say yes to distractions, to drama, to comfort. The truth is, if something really mattered to you, if it truly burned inside you, you'd find a way. Time isn't missing, discipline is. And underneath the lack of discipline, fear of not being good enough, fear of facing how much work it will actually take to change your life. So you tell yourself you're busy. You convince yourself you'll do it and when things calm down. But they never do, and they won't. Because life doesn't give you time, you have to take it. Then you say you don't know how. That's another lie fear feeds you. I'd start, but I just don't know where to begin. Let's be honest. You got a phone in your hand that can answer any question you can think of. YouTube, books, podcasts, mentors, tools, courses. Information isn't your enemy. You're not confused. You're overwhelmed. And you're overwhelmed because you're afraid of taking the first step and doing it wrong. Fear makes you believe that not knowing is a valid reason to stay still. But staying still doesn't protect you. It just delays your growth. Most people don't succeed because they didn't know. They succeed because they started messy, learned along the way, and refused to let fear win. And then there's the I'm not ready excuse, the lie that tells you you're missing something, confidence, clarity, approval, that you need to wait until you feel more secure, more certain. But that day never comes because readiness is a myth. No one ever feels completely ready to chase a dream, take a risk, Walk away from what's easy. Readiness isn't something that happens before you start. It happens after you begin. You build confidence by doing the things scared. You grow clarity by walking the unclear road. But fear convinces you to stay in preparation mode, constantly tweaking, planning, overthinking, because as long as you're planning, you don't have to risk anything. Then there's the idea that it's just not at the right time. That's a beautiful lie, isn't it? Fear tells you that timing is everything, so you wait. You wait for the kids to grow up, for the job to get easier, for the money to come in, for the stars to align, but life rarely gives you a green light. The people who changed their lives didn't wait for a perfect moment. They created one. Because the truth is, saying not now is just another way of saying a not ever. Fear uses time as a shield. If it can't stop your desire, it will try to delay it until the spark dies. You keep telling yourself it's someday, but that day never seems to show up. And every day you wait, you believe the lie a little more. Sometimes the lie fear tells you is that you're too old, that it's too late, that your window closed. But that's not true. People have changed careers at 50, started businesses at 60, and found love at 70. The only reason you think it's too late is because fear told you so. Fear wants you to compare your journey to others. It wants you to believe that if it didn't happen by now, it never will. But progress doesn't care about your age. Purpose doesn't have a deadline. You're not behind. You're just afraid of looking foolish, afraid of being the beginner. But you were never too old to grow. You were just too scared to start over. And then for some, the lie is that you're not good enough, that who you are isn't worthy of change, of success, of happiness. Fear attacks your self-worth before it attacks you. Because if it can convince you that you're unworthy, you'll sabotage yourself before life ever gets the chance to challenge you. You won't apply for the job. You won't try to write the book. You won't pursue the relationship. You'll tell yourself, I'm not smart enough, or I don't deserve that kind of life. But that's not truth. That's a scar. That's old pain dressed as logic. And it's fear's favorite weapon, shame. Because if fear can get you to shame yourself, you'll do all the stopping on its behalf. The scariest part, these lies don't just sit in your mind. They shape your life. They influence your habits, your relationships, your decisions. You build entire routines around your excuses. You surround yourself with people who reinforce them. You limit your dreams to fit your fear. And then you wonder why nothing changes. Why it all feels the same year after year. But how could it not? When the foundation of your choices is built on lies, the life you build will never feel real. Fear is clever. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It uses your own voice so you don't question it. It says, play it safe. It says that you will embarrass yourself. It says that people will judge you. It says you're not special. And if you listen long enough, you believe those whispers are wisdom. You start calling fear of being realistic. You call it humble. You even call it immaturity. But deep down, something inside you knows better. You feel the tension between what you say and what you feel, between the excuse you speak and the potential you bear. That's the war happening inside you. The voice of fear feeding you lies, and the quiet truth inside you begging you to break free. There's nothing wrong with fear. Everyone has it. But you got to recognize when it's in control. When it's writing the script of your life and handing you lines to repeat. Because as long as you're echoing fear, you'll never speak your truth. And the truth is, your excuses have names. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of pain, fear of the unknown, fear of change. Call them what they are. Because once you do, you can finally start choosing something else. Your next level requires a new version of you. This is a truth that many overlook because it's uncomfortable to hear. We want change, we want growth, but we want to remain the same person. We want the comfort of our habits, our mindset, our identity, while expecting everything around us to transform. But life doesn't work like that. The moment you decide you want more, you must also accept that the person you are today is not equipped to handle it. The tools you use, the way you think, the habits you have, they all need to evolve because what got you here won't get you there. Every level of success, happiness, or fulfillment demands a different version of yourself. It's not about just learning new skills or adding new experiences. It's about transformation at the core. You have to shed the beliefs, fears, and excuses that held you back. You have to grow in ways that stretch your comfort zone. Your next level requires more discipline, more courage, more patience, and more clarity than you currently possess. Think about this. The you that decided to stay comfortable, to avoid risks, to settle for less. That version of you is not ready for the next chapter. The habits that kept you safe, like procrastination, self-doubt, and playing small, will be toxic at the next stage. If you want a bigger life, you must build a bigger you. The mindset that allowed you to coast along won't carry the weight of your dreams. You need a mindset that is hungry, relentless, and willing to fail forward. The you who accepted mediocrity is not the you who will achieve greatness. It's about rewiring your thoughts and actions. You have to reprogram your beliefs about what is possible. The stories you tell yourself about who you are and what you deserve are the foundation of your reality. If those stories are limited by fear, shame, or past failures, they will keep you stuck. To rise, you need new narratives. Stories that empower you, push you forward, and keep you accountable. You have to become the person who says, I can too, not just once, but every single day. This transformation isn't easy. It requires vulnerability and honesty. You have to confront your weaknesses and be willing to change them. That might mean breaking habits that feel like part of your identity, like being defensive, avoiding conflict, or seeking comfort in distraction. It means accepting that some of your relationships might not support this new version of you and being willing to let them go or set boundaries. Your environment and the people around you are a reflection of who you are. To become new, sometimes you have to change your company, your routines, your surroundings. You also need to grow your emotional strength. The next level will test you. You will face setbacks, doubts, and loneliness. The new you is someone who can withstand pressure without breaking. Someone who can keep showing up when motivation fades. This version of you understands that failure isn't final. It's part of the process. It's a lesson, a stepping stone, not a full stop. Resilience becomes your foundation, patience your ally, and faith in yourself your compass. Learning becomes critical in this process. The new version of you is a student of life, always curious, always growing. You seek knowledge not as a checklist, but as fuel for your evolution. You're willing to be uncomfortable, to ask questions, to admit what you don't know, and to learn from those who have walked the path. You understand that expertise isn't a destination, but a journey of constant improvement. The physical habits of the new you also change. How you care for your body reflects your commitment to your growth. You sleep better, eat healthier, exercise consistently because you understand your body is the vehicle that carries you forward. You stop treating it as an afterthought and start honoring it as the foundation for everything you want to achieve. Accountability becomes a priority. The new you doesn't blame external circumstances for failures or delay. You accept responsibility for your choices, your progress, and your setbacks. You stop waiting for others to validate your dreams or push you forward. You become your own champion and your own critic. Balance, fair, and firm. Vision fuels this transformation. The new you has a clear picture of where you want to go. You don't wander aimlessly hoping for change. You set goals and design plans. This vision becomes your anchor during storms, your motivation during fatigue. It guides your decisions and priorities so you don't waste energy on distractions or temporary comforts. Your communication changes too. You start speaking differently to yourself and to others. You drop self-deprecating language and adopt affirmations of strength and possibility. You surround yourself with words and people that inspire and uplift. The new you asks for what you need, expresses boundaries clearly, and builds connections that support your growth. Importantly, this transformation involves forgiving the old you. You don't discard your past as shameful or useless. Instead, you honor the lessons and experiences that shaped you. But you also recognize they don't have to define your future. You're allowed to evolve beyond your mistakes and limitations. The new you is someone who embraces change as a necessary part of life, not a threat to identity. This evolution requires patience. You don't wake up transformed overnight. It's a gradual process of small daily choices compounded over time. You celebrate the little wins, the moments when you resist an old habit, when you speak your truth, when you take a risk despite fear. You learn to be kind to yourself when progress slows, knowing that growth is not linear. You understand that setbacks don't mean failure. The new you keeps getting up, learning, and moving forward. You develop a mindset that sees obstacles as opportunities to refine your approach and grow stronger. This perspective shifts your relationship with challenges from dread to curiosity. The next level you seek also demands generosity. You become more aware that your growth isn't just for you. You want to contribute, to uplift others, or to share your knowledge and experience. This mindset expands your purpose beyond personal success to impact and legacy. Financial habits often shift too. The new you manages resources with intention. You save, invest, and spend in alignment with your goals rather than impulses or fears. You see money as a tool, not a goal. And this mindset allows you to create stability and freedom. Spiritual growth may play a role as well, whether through faith, meditation, or connection to something bigger. The new you seeks meaning beyond material achievements. You cultivate inner peace and purpose that sustain you when external circumstances are uncertain. In relationships, you become more intentional. You seek connections that inspire and challenge you. You let go of toxicity and prioritize mutual growth and respect. Your new self attracts and nurtures relationships aligned with your evolving values. Ultimately, your next level demands authenticity. You shed masks you wore to please others or protect yourself. The new you shows up fully, imperfect, but real. This authenticity builds confidence and attracts opportunities aligned with who you truly are. This version of you is a work in progress, evolving, stretching, sometimes uncomfortable, but always moving forward. You embrace the journey with faith in your capacity to grow. You become someone who no longer fears change because you've learned that growth is your true nature. This is the essence of transformation. The recognition that if you want something new, you must become someone new. Your dreams, goals, and desires require it. It's not a punishment, but a gift, an invitation to step into your fullest potential and live a life you can be proud of. Discipline and vision beat motivation every time. It's a lesson that so many people learn the hard way, mistaking motivation for the engine of success, when in reality, motivation is nothing more than a fleeting spark. It comes and goes like a gust of wind, unpredictable and unreliable. One day you wake up inspired, energized, and ready to conquer the world. The next, you can't find the energy to get out of bed. That's why motivation alone will never be enough to carry you to your goals or help you become the person you want to be. What separates those who succeed from those who give up is discipline and vision. Motivation is emotional. It's tied to how you feel in the moment. When motivation is high, you might push yourself to work harder, eat healthier, or practice your craft. When life throws a curveball, when you're tired, stressed, or distracted, that motivation can vanish. You find yourself skipping workouts, procrastinating on projects, or falling back into old habits. Motivation is a fire that needs constant feeding, and if the fuel runs out, so does the flame. Discipline, on the other hand, is a choice. It's a commitment you make to yourself regardless of how you feel. Discipline doesn't care if you're tired, scared, or uninspired. It's the muscle that keeps you showing up when motivation disappears. It's what gets you out of bed at 5 a.m. when you'd rather sleep. It's what makes you write that page, make that call, or stick to your plan even when you don't want to. Discipline turns your goals into daily actions. It means accepting that you can't control everything, that failure is a possibility, and that things might not go according to plan. But that's part of the adventure. Growth happens outside comfort zones. You learn resilience and resourcefulness as you navigate challenges and setbacks. Each obstacle becomes a lesson rather than a roadblock. Over time, you build the strength to face whatever comes your way, knowing that your bold choice was the start of a new chapter, not an endpoint. The impact of one bold decision isn't limited to the immediate future. It can create a new identity. You become someone who acts with intention and courage. You build a track record of stepping up and taking risks. This new identity rewires how you see yourself and what you believe you're capable of. When faced with the next challenge or opportunity, you draw on the experience of your bold decision. You trust your ability to make tough calls and handle whatever results. This self-trust is invaluable and changes the trajectory of your life. Sometimes a bold decision also shifts your relationships. People who don't support your growth or who are stuck in their own patterns may drift away. But you attract new connections aligned with your vision and energy. Your network expands with mentors, collaborators, and friends who inspire you to keep moving forward. This social shift reinforces your transformation. and provide support during the inevitable ups and downs. Bold decisions can also redefine your sense of purpose. When you choose to live intentionally, you stop drifting through life reacting to circumstances. Instead, you create a life that reflects your deepest values and passions. Your goals become clearer and more meaningful because they are rooted in your authentic self. This alignment brings fulfillment beyond external achievements. You start living with greater clarity, joy, and impact. The courage to make one bold decision often starts with self-awareness. You recognize that something isn't working, whether it's a job, relationship, mindset, or lifestyle. You feel a restlessness, a dissatisfaction that won't go away. This discomfort is the signal that you need to act. Instead of ignoring or numbing it, you face it honestly. You ask yourself what you really want and what's holding you back. This reflection creates the foundation for your bold choice. Fear will always be present when you consider bold decisions. It whispers doubts and paints worst-case scenarios. But boldness doesn't mean the absence of fear. It means moving forward in spite of it. You learn to differentiate between fear that protects you and limits you, fear that 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 limits you. The latter is what you challenge and overcome. Each time you face fear with action, it loses its power. The more bold decisions you make, the less intimidating they become. It's also important to remember that bold decisions don't guarantee instant success or happiness. They are the start of a process, not a magic fix. There will be hard work, mistakes, and moments of uncertainty. But those challenges are part of the growth that makes your life richer and more resilient. The journey itself becomes as valuable as the destination. One bold decision can also inspire others. When you step into courage and change, you become a beacon for those around you. Your story encourages people to examine their own lives and consider what bold moves they might make. Your courage creates a ripple effect that extends far beyond what you initially imagined. You become part of a larger movement of people choosing growth over comfort, action over fear, and possibility over doubt. In many ways, the power of one bold decision lies in its simplicity. You don't have to have every detail planned or all the answers. You just need to decide to move forward. That decision is a powerful commitment to yourself and your future. It breaks the cycle of hesitation and sets a new course.